the Republicans in Congress unveiled their budget, and it represents the opposite of middle-class economics, because it would hand out new tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires, let taxes go up for students and working families, because it would eliminate their tax credits on a variety of things. It would cut investments in education to the lowest level since the year 2000. It would double the number of Americans without health insurance. Before the ink was even dry on the budget that they put forward, that was already full of tax cuts for folks at the top, they rolled out their next big economic plan, which was another huge tax cut for folks at the top. This one would cost $250 billion. It would apply only to the top 1/10 of 1% of Americans. In Alabama, this new tax cut they're proposing, I gotta laugh, because it would average $2 million per person in tax cuts, and it would apply to less than 50 people per year here in Alabama. So 50 people would get an average tax breaks of $2 million. Not 50,000 people, 50. 50. Did they look at the budget? They already got tax cuts for the wealthy, for millionaires and billionaires, and then they say, you know what we forgot to put in here? Another deficit-busting tax cut for the top 1/10 of 1% of Americans. That's what's really going to move the country forward. Is that what they were thinking? I guess they occupy a different reality, it seems. According to them, everything was really good in 2008. When we were going through the worst economic crisis in our lifetimes, unemployment and uninsured rates were up, and we were hopelessly addicted to foreign oil, and bin Laden was still on the loose. This apparently was the golden age that I messed up. I messed it up. And Obamacare and immigrants and taxes and deficits all just messed everything up. And they're so glum. They're really so frustrated. We don't look at the evidence and see that every time a Democratic president's been in office, the economy seems to be doing a little better than when the Republicans in office, and we don't automatically say, well, you just have to vote for a Democrat every time. On the other hand, we also don't say that if you cut taxes for the very top 1% and the economy doesn't do well, that doing more of that will grow the economy by 4 or 5 or 8%. We don't do that either, because that's factually seems to be incorrect. They want to repeal the Affordable Care Act. I know that's shocking, and kick millions of people off their health insurance. But when you ask them, well, what is it that is so bothering you about people having health insurance? They can't tell you. Because originally it was, well, it's never going to work. All right, so then it started working. Then they say, well, it's going to blow up the deficit. And it's not blowing up the deficit. And then they said, well, you know, it's going to drive everybody else's premiums up, but that hasn't happened. So at some point you'd think they'd say, well, maybe we should just try to work to make health insurance even better, right? Right? Right. On climate change. Now, if you went to a doctor, no, let's change that. You go to 100 doctors, and 99 of them tell you you've got diabetes. You've got to stop eating bacon and donuts every day. and we have to monitor your health, and we got to fix this. You wouldn't say, oh, that's a conspiracy. They're making that up. All 99 of those doctors got together with Obama to try to prevent me from having bacon and donuts. You wouldn't do that. That's not what you do. There's not a single person who would do that. I mean, it'd be funny, but except this is about climate change. This was an analogy. And the planet's warming. 99% of scientists have said it's warming, and we've got the Republican chairman of the Senate Energy and Environment Committee carrying a snowball into the Senate chambers to show that there's still snow and that climate change isn't happening. I am not making that up. That's what happened. That's what happened. I was going to quote Kanye, but I can't because this is a family audience. But it's cray. And by the way, the same thing is true on foreign policy. I don't want to keep on going, but have you noticed that every one of these candidates say, Obama's weak. Putin's kicking sand in his face. When I talk to Putin, he's going to straighten out. Just looking at him, he's going to be. And then it turns out they can't handle a bunch of CNBC moderators. I mean, let me tell you, if you can't handle those guys, then I don't think the Chinese and the Russians are going to be too worried about you.